All right, and we are back with another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. It is your host, Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives, and I am joined once again by my homie, AJ.
It's Christmas Day, Rob. It's Christmas Day.
Yes.
It is the beginning of the NBA season. We get to see Victor Wembanyama. Are you as excited as I am?
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm going to need to change my pants at least once because Victor Wembanyama is making his Spurs debut tonight.
Oh, my God. Against the hated Mavs. Oh, my God. This rivalry hopefully gets heated up early and we can get back to where we were in the mid-2000s. Ooh, it'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
Cannot wait to beat the Rockets.
Yeah, that I-35 rivalry. Oh, hopefully that we get good enough to where, we're both playoff teams, and then, Kyrie still needs to meld with Luka a little bit, and then I see us both, becoming a really strong playoff team sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so we're going to talk about, the Spurs and obviously Wembanyama making his debut tonight, but we're also going to talk about the opening games from last night as well. We saw the Lakers play, we saw the Suns play, the Warriors, and then, so a lot of stuff to talk about there. And
Absolutely.
we also saw the Nuggets actually get to hold their rings for the first time.
Some cool rings look like paperweights, but
yeah, those are massive.
they're so big.
And dude, I saw they come apart.
Yeah, it looks like they some kind of gold thing because they're nuggets and they're gold. And
Dude, that's wild.
I think I don't know. We gotta look it up how much they cost, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they weren't from Walmart or something. So
No. I mean, it's not America's Diamonds, the official jeweler of the San Antonio Spurs. Shout out, but they're doing good work.
I would hope that I'm sure the entire organization got a ring. So I think hopefully everyone got one and they get to celebrate for an entire year. And we'll probably talk about who our favorites are here the next hour or so. And just looking forward to another great year. And man, basketball's back, baby.
Yes, the NBA is back, and we could not be more excited about it. So let's just dive on in. Yeah, it's going to be Wembanyama's debut tonight. So what we've seen from him recently in the preseason is amazing.
It's been spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, he only was playing 21 minutes a game, over 19 points, almost 5 rebounds, a couple of assists a game, almost 3 blocks.
Yeah. And the way he's been blocking, it's not like he's just getting, some good pressure and good spacing. It's like he's blocking 3-point shots, fadeaways. He's just a menace down low. And I would love to be in a room with an NBA team on how to strategize going against Victor Wembanyama, because I can't figure out what you do with him.
Right.
He's gained 20 pounds since the draft too.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't look thick, but he looks thicker.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Those tacos.
Dude, I'm telling you that he had some barbacoa and Big Red. I made a post about it. He just needs to exist in San Antonio for 3 months,
Yep.
and it's going to happen.
It shows.
It's already happened. Well, I mean, and that defensive presence that you were talking about, that it's so real because you see one of the best 3-point shooters of all time in Klay Thompson have trouble gauging whether or not he has time to get that shot off. Whenever you see him get blocked by Wembanyama on that 3, I think that's just a taste of things to come.
Oh, and then if he's doing step backs and hitting threes and just starting fast breaks, I mean, what do you do, man? What do you do? And then, you put Devin Vassell out in the perimeter. You have KJ, cutting, slashing, and all that stuff. I mean, the best part is what I'm really excited to see is just how he interprets the game. Just how his growth from game 1 to game 82. I'm excited to see, how he handles people figuring him out, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's going to get figured out at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Something's going to happen. Something's going to click. It's a copycat league, so everyone's going to do it. But you can't teach height.
Yeah.
And he's so long that you can't really run doubles at him because he just picks up the ball and goes
Right.
pass the other
He's
side.
going to pass over you. He's going to be able to shoot over just about anybody. It's such a unique player to enter the league, and I don't think that we've really seen any. I mean, you saw the Mavs have to literally have pads on dudes' arms trying to mimic what Victor Wembanyama is going to do.
But you can't even mimic it. Like
Right.
that's like I forgot who it was, but whoever had those pads on,
Yeah.
you can't mimic his ability to adjust and also his just overall length. Like he takes one step and he's from the 3-point line, and he's at the basket. Like, I mean, you can't I guess practice that.
Yeah.
You just can't. Like, you just can't practice it.
Right. And his recovery is so much better than people even realize because
Yeah.
a large part of what he was getting criticized for is like, oh, he's going to fold when somebody puts a shoulder into him. But now it's like, oh, even when he was playing against Chet and Chet put a shoulder into him, he recovered immediately.
Yeah.
And I know Chet isn't a great example because he isn't the strongest himself. But at the end of the day, Chet is going to be one of the guys he's going to go up against time and time again.
Yeah.
And he's going to need to do that. And so, I mean, it's pretty much like the Giannis's, the Embiids, and the Jokic's. Those are the only guys I think that are really going to leave his head scratching. You know, it's like, and
Maybe.
I mean, I think at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really dreaming if Victor Wembanyama is going to really dominate guys that are in MVP conversations right away.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't think that he's far from those guys,
Sure.
even as of right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you realize he's 19 years old, and you're looking at around the league, and I mean, everyone that we've been watching for the past 15 years is aging out.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just getting older. They're getting into the mid to late 30s. I mean, Westbrook turns 35 in like 2 weeks.
Right. KD's no longer the best player on his team anymore. It's clearly Devin Booker.
Right, exactly.
So it's like we're entering a new era of superstars.
Oh yeah, and to have a team as young as we are, to re-sign Collins, to give Devin the extension, all the stuff that we're doing it's in a 5-year plan, and it's literally, can you play with Wembanyama? And if you can, great, you're on the team. If not, you're out.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be how we're going to operate from now until the end of the 5 years. And hopefully in that time, we have enough to continue to develop the players that we have. And also we're in those conversations of, will they make it to the Western Conference Championship? Do they have title hopes again? What's Pop going to look like in that time? So it's going to be really fun. And this is like the perfect game for Wembanyama to start his career.
Right.
Like against the hated Mavs. I don't even know what the Mavs are this year. I mean, obviously they have Luka, Kyrie. They got Dwight Powell. They still got Tim Hardaway Jr. there.
Honestly,
I just don't know who they are.
I'm not scared of the Mavs this year. I was doing my Western Conference rankings, and I have them missing the playoffs again. And so, I'm not really scared at what this team is going to do. I view them as about a 40-win team like they were last year.
Yeah.
It's just like they didn't really get better from a personnel standpoint, and I'm not buying that Luka and Kyrie can gel. And I'm hearing about Luka being kind of banged up coming into the season, and it's like
There's that too.
That's another hurdle that they're going to have to overcome.
The West is really interesting, man. Like, we gotta see what everyone else does and how they look. Seeing CP3, like what that looks like down the stretch, and if he can stay healthy, but I just don't see how that all works.
Well, I mean, it was interesting to see CP3 kind of gel with the team last night because that was the most off ball I had ever seen Steph Curry play basketball.
And that's kind of going to be, I think we kind of talked about on one of our first episodes, what Steph Curry is going to look like the rest of his career. And I think what we saw last night is that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to be Reggie Miller.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Curry only had 1 assist last night. And it's like I can't remember the last time I saw Steph Curry that uninvolved in the distribution of the offense on that team. And I know and part of me knows that it's going to get even worse whenever I don't want to say worse, but even more exaggerated whenever Draymond Green comes back,
right?
Because he's going to be distributing,
right?
And so it's going to be like, Steph is going to be able to exist in this off-ball world better than anyone else can.
Sure.
But it just means that all right, that kind of transition in personnel is going to take time. I don't know if this team is going to gel before they get too old.
Right. And that's kind of the thing is just how much more time do these teams have? I mean, the clock's ticking on Golden State, the clock's ticking on the Lakers, the clock's ticking on the Suns. The clock's ticking on the Pelicans even now.
Yeah.
I mean, you look around the West and, it's definitely a toss-up, but you just don't know what you have. I mean, Sacramento is still there, and they're still going to be a playoff contender. What are like the Nuggets? The Nuggets looked great yesterday.
Dude, the Nuggets looked fantastic.
Reggie Jackson, he looks so good in what we saw last night.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see Reggie Jackson to come in and like just play really well on their first game because it was like if they have that, I mean,
well, yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I think that the door is wide open with Bruce Brown out the door for like this like sort of this guard that can kind of fill this like much needed production on some of these off nights from MPJ, from Caldwell Pope, from some of these guys that may have an off night every now and then, and you needed Bruce Brown to step up last year. Who's to say Reggie Jackson couldn't have that same kind of reemergence?
He's definitely going to be that dude.
He might. He's been pretty inefficient the last couple of years, so I'm not going to shit on Reggie Jackson, but I'm also gonna wait and see.
But when you have an NBA championship next to your name, your confidence goes out the roof. And then on top of that, if they can figure out a way to have Christian Brown or Reggie Jackson, one of the two, just have a good night, or they have a combined decent night, they're going to win games.
Absolutely. Easily. Yeah. Well, and good point, Christian Brown. He's going to get better. Oh, dude, he had a take last night where he pumped in the air and like went for the dunk. I was like, dude, that is a take from a guy that has confidence.
Yeah. Oh, especially. I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He. I'm not the biggest Christian Brown fan, but if he can be the spark off the bench, like the Austin Reeves or Manu Ginobili type guy, then they have that squad again, and Jokic's still going to drop triple doubles, and it's I wouldn't be surprised if they repeat. I would love to see the Bucks and the Nuggets go at it in the championship.
That would be crazy.
That would be fun.
I mean, either Bucks and Nuggets, or maybe the Celtics and Nuggets.
Yeah, the Celtics and Nuggets would be fun. The Celtics got better, but I just don't know what Jaylen Brown's going to do in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, I think that whenever you bring in guys like Drew Holiday and Porzingis, you're really creating a big four where an off night from Jaylen Brown doesn't put you in as much of a sort of a critical position as it would have the year before, because there were more of a team built around depth, and now they're a team that's really top heavy.
Yeah. And do you trust Porzingis?
I trust him as the fourth guy on that team.
Okay.
Whenever I look at it as like he is by far and away the best fourth option on any team in the NBA.
Sure.
Like even if you were to label him the third option, I still think he's arguably one of the best third options. And so to me, I trust him with that amount of responsibility. Whenever he was in Dallas and whenever he was in Washington, he was asked to do much more than that. Even in New York as well.
Yeah.
He was trying to be, labeled as, the savior for New York, and I think that was just too much. But when you see him on Boston right now, and you see that he only has to be the third or fourth option most nights, I think that's a good amount of responsibility. I can see him thrive with that.
I mean, his name, the unicorn, is just so dated now.
Right.
Because you have Wemby, and Wemby is a unicorn. Like, Wemby is... We've never seen a guy dribble the ball like that as his size. We've never seen anyone really pull up, step backs, set shots. I mean, block shots. He does it all. Like, I know that obviously he's going to be compared to KD because of his length and his shot, but KD he's not going to be the stopper down low.
No, of course not.
He's not going to stop anyone on the perimeter. But it's just really fun. It's going to be fun to watch the Spurs emerge. My biggest complaint, though, is the NBA City Edition jerseys this year.
Oh my gosh, those are so
They're
ass.
all of them were so bad. They were so
Just straight up cheeks.
like they.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't even find one that I was like, oh, this one's okay.
Like, what is with the Microsoft Word font? Like, it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, it's just like they just scrolled down Microsoft Word and was like, all right, we're gonna do this font, and I'm pretty sure they literally just did Times New Roman for Atlanta.
I think they did. Yeah.
Just the most basic font you could possibly do.
I'm like, why do we have such awesome? I mean, obviously I know because we talked about it whenever we were tanking. Whenever you have a team that you're trying to get butts in the seats, you got to sell great merch, and that's why we got some great merch for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Now we have Victor Wembanyama, who's going to be the one selling tickets, and I don't understand why we haven't had a jersey in San Antonio, a third jersey or a fourth jersey, where the Alamo's on it.
Yes.
Like, we need the Alamo on a jersey.
Yes.
Like, that because, dude, like, people go to San Antonio for the Alamo, and if we don't have an Alamo on our jersey, we're doing a disservice.
Yeah, like, can I get the damn Riverwalk on a jersey, please?
Something, yeah.
Can I get the damn Riverwalk flowing through it? Like
Something cool.
Yeah,
I
like-
mean, we got this, yeah, I mean, it looks like Andy's room. Like, it just, the jersey that the San Antonio Spurs have, I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of brown and orange going together.
Right. I mean, it like, honestly, it reminds me of like Thanksgiving a little bit. I'm just like, what is happening with this jersey? Like, it makes me just want to like eat stuffing. Like,
Yeah. For sure.
And so like I agree wholeheartedly. There's been no true memorable jerseys that are just that just pop up like this. I feel like these are just really uninspired ideas.
The only one that I did like was the Timberwolves one with the top of the lake. It's like white on top, and then it fades into dark blue.
Honestly, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, it's a cool one, but I mean, that's like the only one. I mean, the Nuggets one sucks. Like, I'm sorry, the Nuggets one's...
Yeah.
It just has the elevation, and it just doesn't look great. The Lakers one sucks. Suns one's okay, I guess. But, I mean, they're just not great jerseys. And I'm very disappointed in the NBA or Nike. I don't know who is designing these things, but, man, just hard miss altogether.
Epic fail.
Yeah.
Epic fail. But at the end of the day, that's to be expected. I feel like there's really been a disconnect with what people are wanting with the jerseys and, even what players are wanting with the jerseys and what's being delivered. So, I mean, So some head scratchers right there, but yeah, there was so much that happened within the NBA last night. Obviously, it was the first night. Mm-hmm. Dude, I think one of the funnier things that happened was just Jokic. Jokic being like mildly impressed with the ring, and then everyone. And like everyone was just like, oh, he's so happy. And it was just like, dude, he really has like a low benchmark for happiness.
So funny, man. He's just so... Basketball is not his passion.
Yeah.
Like, basketball just... I mean, you can say, you're wrong. He loves basketball. I'm sure he loves basketball fine. But then you watch the post game when, they were like, hey, how much basketball did you play during the offseason? And he was like, I mean, I was in the weight room.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's just so... This is just a job to him. And sometimes we forget that, yeah, a lot of the guys are living their dreams and it's awesome they're making all the money. But sometimes it's just a job to these people. Like how we go to our 9 to 5s and, they go to their 9 to 5s, but they just happen to play at night. Like, I mean, it looks like a job for him that he's just really good at.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like he just really didn't play at all during the offseason and then casually comes back and just drops 29, 13, and 11 game one.
And he does look out of shape, though. But,
yeah, I mean, well, like
he's a little thicker now.
I think it was out of shape compared to like what we saw in the postseason. Sure. But I think he was still in shape to dribble around AD, and obviously AD had his woes. I think that we have to mention he scored no points in the second half.
I don't know what to do with AD. I mean, I don't know if it's a scheme thing. I don't know if it's a him thing. I don't. The Lakers. In the entire time I've been watching the NBA, I think maybe 2 seasons the Lakers actually look like a team. Like they always look like just like individual players kind of doing their own thing. They just happen to be on the floor together.
Yeah.
And, every year it starts like this, what are the Lakers going to do? And then eventually they figure it out and they gel and they end up in the 8th spot or 7th spot, which is great. But, how can they continue to do that? And I mean, if Anthony Davis is not going to play in the second half, like what are they going to do? They got close in the fourth quarter, but then he's just not, I just don't know what he is. Like, you just paid him a bunch of money, and I hope it's a blip and it's not something that's going to continue.
Right. It was just, I literally just saw like clips of him training like MMA in the off season, and like him being like, yeah, I'm taking this next season harder than ever. And like people were literally saying, oh, Anthony Davis is going to be in like fringe MVP conversations. And then I never saw conversations disappear so quickly.
Well, because he looked so great in the preseason. Like,
Yeah.
and it goes to show you that preseason is preseason.
Yeah.
So, with him, it's like, oh my God, he had 4 blocks or whatever it is in a matter of, 5 minutes, or, he looks amazing. He looks in shape and blah, blah, blah. And then game 1 comes. And also with all the talk that him and LeBron were texting back each other, like, oh, we're so excited to play the Nuggets game 1. And we're not their sons. Like, they're not our daddies.
Where is that excitement?
And it's like, and then what, like, you can't get the ball in the second half?
Right.
Like, dude.
But also, I feel like we can't put a lot of that on Bron. He still played a really great game. I mean,
Yeah.
in limited minutes. Like,
Sure.
dude has been literally put on a minutes restriction.
He should.
Yeah, I mean, if you want him in the postseason, if you want him to actually be able to impact the game when it matters the most, that you're going to need to watch how much that. Excuse my language, how much that old man is playing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, those knees have so many miles on them that, if he gets a tweak here and there,
It's going to be a long time.
Yep.
But the reality is, when you get to a certain age in the NBA, you get those minor injuries. Those minor injuries just linger and linger and linger. And then all of a sudden you're looking back and you're going, oh, I only played like 40 games this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the reality of the situation. At some point, Father Time always wins.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just tough whenever, AD's not showing up in the second half, because LeBron can't influence the game as much as he used to. So the Lakers cannot have Anthony Davis disappear like he did and expect to beat a team like the Nuggets. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, granted, they have, Christian Wood, they have, Prince, Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish, Jackson Hayes, so many new guys within this lineup that it's pretty tough to just, expect them to gel right away.
It's gonna take time, but you want your big guys to be your big guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, but ultimately, yeah, that was a game that gave me a lot of reassurance that, hey, the Nuggets are still the team to beat. They are still very much the team to beat.
They are still the Lakers' daddies.
Still the Lakers' daddies.
Got to tip my hat and call him my daddy.
Right. But honestly, I was kind of disappointed in the second game, because it was. There was no Draymond Green, so we didn't get a good look at what Golden State's going to truly look at.
True.
And there was no Bradley Beal.
Yep.
So, sure, it was no Beal, no big deal, but at the same time, we didn't get a full sense of how that team's going to gel together.
Yeah, and I really want to see the Suns play together. I want to know what that looks like, because in preseason, again, asterisk is preseason.
Right.
They looked unstoppable.
Yeah, they look great.
But again, it's preseason, and it's a different beast, and you hope that the Suns made the right choice. Obviously, with the new owner and all that stuff, you got to come and make a splash early. I mean, they're definitely title favorites. But
you think that the Suns are the title favorites?
Well, I mean, like, they're one of the top 5. I would say.
Yeah,
top 5.
They're definitely in that conversation
for sure. Yeah, they're top tier.
Yeah.
But but who's going to defend who? Like, they don't really have a whole lot of defense.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at Josh Okogie as your best defender, then I think that you could be in trouble. Because, they've slowly but surely have been losing their really good defenders.
Oh, yeah, that's been the biggest thing.
You lose Mikal Bridges last year. Yep. Torrey Craig.
Torrey Craig was a great defender. Yeah.
They were. I wanted them to re-sign him, but he's in Chicago, so it's at the end of the day, they're going to have some defensive questions that need to be answered. I just, are they really relying on like some production from Bol down low to like get some defense? It's like, although I will say this, Nurkic looked better than I thought. Like
Sure.
he pulled down 14 boards, was commanding presence down low, a little bit more than I thought he would. So, maybe that fit is going to be decent.
Yeah, and I'm curious to know what Ayton's going to do in Portland. He kind of had a team, and I don't know what happened with him. I hope he can get his mind right and play. I mean, he still played well in Phoenix. He just got lost in the shuffle, it seemed like, and he was the old plan, and now they got a new plan, and he was just kind of there. And I still don't understand why the Suns ended up matching the Pacers offer. It just doesn't make sense to me because they ended up shipping out the year after. So it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you want to try to mend things between a number one overall pick. I think that you still see the potential with him, but at the end of the day, if a situation has soured between a player and an organization, it's almost better just for both to just cut ties.
Yep.
It seems like and it got to that point. And
yep.
Let's see if he's going to be dominating in in Portland. I don't know if he will, but yeah, that post he made was really funny. I was like, when in the NBA have you ever been dominating? Like, you've been criticized about not dominating enough.
Dude, it's so funny whenever like you have these guys come in and they're like, oh, he's the next David Robinson, or he's the next blah, blah, blah. And then they just don't come close. Like he unfortunately fizzled out, but I think a lot of it has to do with they brought in other players, they brought in bigger names, bigger stars, and he just got lost and he couldn't fit with that type of team. So, but speaking of sour relationships,
talking about just some James Harden right now?
James Harden.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously him and Morey are not on good terms.
Did you hear what Morey said? He was like, I texted James Harden about, coming and playing or whatever, and he responded, F you.
Yeah.
It's like,
that is brutal. And then obviously the reports that literally just came out that it was Woj that had reported, oh yeah, James Harden's going to be with the team.
Yep.
And then Shams 30 minutes later says, the 76ers says, nah, we're good. You're not going to be traveling with us.
What do you do with James Harden at this point? Because if you're the Sixers, you got to, if you trade him, it's going to be pennies on the dollar. It's not even come close.
Yeah.
Like you might be able to get like a second round pick in 2032, like that kind of shit. So what do you do if you're the 76ers? What do you do if you're James Harden? Like, who's gonna, if he had the track record of, he had some years where he came in out of shape, but he got it together, all that stuff. But the problem is he has so many things that like are just not professional.
Yeah.
Like going out in the, the night before a game or coming in 20, 30 pounds out of shape. I mean, he's just as known for playing MVP level basketball as he is for going to strip clubs.
Yeah, exactly. And so whenever that's the case, it's just, man, that's just tough.
Yeah. I mean, and think about the wake that he's casted on the teams that he's left. The Rockets are in full rebuild mode, and they've struggled ever since they lost him. The Brooklyn Nets are in full rebuild mode, and they're struggling ever since he left.
Yep.
What are the Sixers going to look like? Especially if they decide to ship Harden and get rid of Embiid at the same time, like they're going to be in rebuild mode.
They better be lucky they have Maxey to hand the keys to.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
And the Clippers are like hanging around and talking about getting James Harden, but if you're the Clippers, like you can't make that trade. Like you can't get rid of anybody really.
Yeah, you don't need to bring in another question mark when you already have had so much trouble getting Paul George and Kawhi to play together. Why are you just going to add a guy like James Harden, who's you're going to question his work ethic? I mean, you're not going to question his ability whenever he's playing well,
right?
But it's a situation where like, hey, can I trust you?
Yeah. At this point, what's James Harden's motivation?
Yeah,
and that's kind of the thing. It's like, a lot of people have their motivation, whether that's, their family or their legacy or whatever. But like, I don't know what James Harden's motivation is, because it just doesn't seem like really winning and becoming a teammate is there. And obviously we're on the outside looking in, but that's what it feels like. Because if he was serious about it, he would be on the team and just be like, we'll take care of this in the offseason.
Yeah.
But he's just not a professional.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. It's more of a personality thing. Like if you are going to multiple organizations and things aren't working out, and you're consistently saying, "Oh, this guy's the problem," or "That guy was the problem," you're probably the problem.
100%.
And so I think that's the case with James Harden. It's unfortunate because just a handful of years ago he was the league MVP.
He's a great talent. He's a great talent, but you see this more times than you want to, and you like to think that players have the motivation to win, and that's why they're playing the game and all this other stuff. But like we said with Jokic, it's like, it's a job, man. It's a job. They've gotten paid a bunch of money. I think he's worth like $500 million now or something like that. So he has his own wine. Do you think he cares about basketball at this point? Like, I mean,
No.
it just that's kind of the reality of it. Like, you come in the league really excited, you realize the league is a job, and then you make your money, and then you peace out. And if a championship's on there, great. If not, then think about this. We used to compare great players on championships.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
like championships can be a part of the discussion, but now it's like we're looking at stats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you move the goalpost, that people like James Harden are like, good to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, what was the impact of those numbers? Like, what did those numbers translate to? 'Cause
right.
I feel like more interpretation needs to happen with those numbers for me to determine greatness.
Yeah.
And so that's, guys like, I don't want to just kind of pigeonhole these guys together, but when you have, guys that are very like, it's kind of all about me whenever you're looking at, a guy like James Harden or like Melo at certain points in his career. It's like, you're looking at these really ball dominant guys that really aren't adapting or aren't accepting the fact that, dude, you need to sacrifice a little bit in order to win.
And I mean, he's a great player. I mean, he led the league in assists last year, so like, he can distribute the ball, but it's just the other half of that is just the mentality that you have to come in. And we got so lucky being Spurs fans growing up, because we got David Robinson, who is in the military, and he kind of set the tone for the entire team. Him, Avery, and Sean just set the tone, and that's been our identity since the 90s. And here we are with Victor Wembanyama, and you can, like, I was talking to my dad earlier about this, or maybe it was yesterday or something like that, but Victor Wembanyama is all the Spurs who have their numbers retired put into one. Like, attitude, ability, all of that is just put into one, and you can see just like how he's able to embrace San Antonio and the Spurs organization, and that's really fun and fascinating to see, because we're not seeing it with James Harden.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you see someone like that just really embrace the culture in the city, and having mentors like, Tony, Manu, and Tim, and David, and Sean, and all those guys, and you look at his skill set, and they're like, literally, it's almost everyone and put in one. When you have the poise of Tim Duncan, when you have the ability and the wow factor that Manu had, you have the shot blocking that David Robinson had, you have the scoring like George Gervin had. Like, he just looks like a perfect Spur.
And he has the Frenchness of Tony.
And he had the Frenchness of Tony.
Dude,
exactly.
I mean, honestly, he's just a good combination of literally every great Spur that's ever existed.
Every great Spur. And
he could end up getting more defensive players of the years than Kawhi.
He might. He easily might. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. He could literally eclipse every great Spur at what they're great at.
Yeah, and as you know, we talked about this off camera. I was in Europe for the past couple of weeks, and watching Euro basketball was like so interesting to see because they're in their own realm. And like that's what Wemby was a part of. So they all moved like a unit. Like it wasn't just individual talents. It was everyone had a role, everyone played their role. They stayed within the system, and that's what basically got them to wins and baskets and things like that. Obviously it wasn't flashy, but I mean some of the plays they were running with the backdoor cuts and back screens and all that stuff was like
that's smart basketball.
It's smart basketball.
Right.
And,
I love that is Wembanyama's foundation.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
So
beyond excited that he can expand on that. And his youth basketball was team first, pass, giving up a good shot to get a great shot, and obviously using a lot of his athleticism to his advantage. But still, I think the fact that he can distribute at 19 years old the way he can,
insane.
Yeah, is a testament to that team basketball.
That one he had in the preseason that he looked like Steve Nash, like dude.
Oh my gosh, absolutely bonkers what this young man can already do. And one thing that I want to point out is he's doing this, and it's affecting the game. It's not like he's just having empty stats.
Right.
Wembanyama throughout the preseason, and let's just reiterate, it's still preseason.
Yeah.
But his plus or minus was plus 10 on average.
Yeah.
And so like he's not just coming in there and doing a little bit of here and there. Nah, he is really, really impacting the game to where he's producing double digit wins.
Yeah, and we talked about this when we got him. It's not his shot blocking, just his shot, like I guess ability to interrupt shots.
Yeah.
Like no matter what you do, you're going to be thinking in the back of your mind, where's Wemby? Where's Wemby? And you could throw it off the glass that hopefully it goes in. You can't do step backs on Wemby. You can't really post him up. Like you're always going to have that in the back of your mind, and that's when you're playing. You're like, all right, cool, clear lane. Where's Wemby? And then you're a half a second too late, and there he is. So that part I'm just really excited about. I'm also excited. Just Popovich seems he's kind of re-energized.
Yes.
He's like, we're not going to pigeonhole him into.
Don't say the word rejuvenated though.
Right? No, dude. Oh, no.
He hated that question.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah. So Kerr said you were rejuvenated. He was like, what would I need to be rejuvenated for? He just like took such offense to it, and I loved that. I was like, all right, we got Chippy Pop back.
Yeah, he wants him nasty.
Dude, he does. He does. He's not putting up with any bullshit questions.
And speaking of nasty, what I love seeing is other Spurs players are being asked, what happens if a team comes at Wembanyama and they're like, oh, we're going to have problems.
Yeah, we got his back.
Like it's like we've talked about it. It's kind of like when you're growing up. It's like, as long as you don't throw the first punch, you won't get in trouble with me.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of how it feels. And it's fun to see KJ because he's a little Tasmanian devil, and then obviously re-signing Zach Collins as the Bash brothers, like the perfect use for him.
Yeah. We signed him to that 2-year deal. At first when I was looking at it, I was like, man, maybe this is a little bit much, but I was like, nah, I think that
it's a great move.
I think that shoring up a solid player that can not only provide some toughness down low, but stretch the floor.
Yep.
I think having that guy alongside of Wembanyama is going to be good.
And we got him at a hell of a steal. Like, I mean, and same thing with Devin Vassell. I know people were like, oh my God, we're paying them so much money. And it's like, no, we're not. Like, you look at the rest of the league.
But wait a minute, AJ, deals. It's the most expensive deal in Spurs history. I was like, dude, that's such a bait click statement.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, come on.
Because you got to look at the context. Like, in year, was it 3 and 4 is when the new NBA TV rights come into play. And that's when everyone's going to make insane amount of money.
Right. That deal is going to look so much friendlier in year 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, and the people that are like, oh, I don't know if we should be paying, like, just wait. And whenever you go, oh, we're paying that much for a potential all-star.
Yeah.
Like, man.
I mean, I wholeheartedly believe he's going to be playing all-star basketball in a couple years.
I think he might be doing it this year.
He might.
Because the way he played last year, it was just so funny. I'm never going to forget this span of like a few games when he was like cooking, like 22 points in like the first half. And then Pop's like, no.
Yeah, we're trying to develop, but we don't want to win. We're not trying to win.
And then it's like, oh, your knees hurt for the rest of the season.
Right. Yeah.
I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, he didn't even play half the year last year, so I'm excited that he's going to be able to make an impact.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We kind of went all over the place this episode.
Honestly, I liked it.
Yeah,
it was a little bit
pretty well.
Yeah, it was a little scatterbrained, but at the end of the day, I think we covered everything.
One thing we did not cover is congratulations to Becky Hammon and the Las Vegas Aces back to back, and also shout out to Kelsey Plum. I know you're married, and that's cool. Hope you guys live a happy life. But if anything ever happens, no, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, she was smoking that victory cigar again.
I
thought that was a really dope pick because they showed that picture alongside of
last year's,
her last year's, and I was like, all right, that's pretty gangster right there.
And drunk Becky is probably one of the funniest things on the microphone. I don't know if you saw the celebration, but you can tell she's had a little bit of champagne, and she was great. But shout out to the Aces. They started the season just like with a lot of off the court issues. I think they got a draft pick taken away because of some allegations and stuff. Becky was suspended for a couple games.
Yeah,
and to come back and just the way that they played. I don't know if you got to watch any of the game, but it was
I watched some of them.
But they play like the Spurs.
Yeah,
like they literally play like the Spurs.
They do.
There's Asia Wilson. She plays like Timmy, and like they just look like they're a great team. And they might even go back to back, like back to back, like the Comets.
Yeah, they might be like the 2000 Lakers and just be completely dominant. I don't know.
We'll see. But shout out to them for winning the WNBA championship.
Absolutely.
It's always fun to see a Spurs succeed.
Yeah. I mean, Becky Hammon. I mean, she's gonna be, she's gonna be always looked at from Spurs fans in such a positive light, and I really do think that there's a strong chance she is gonna be the first female head coach in the NBA.
I would love for her to come back and be the coach of the Spurs with Wembanyama and have the pop foundation and the mindset and. I mean,
well, okay. You know what? I'm going to call it right now because I was reading new television deals. There's likely to be teams expanded into Vegas and Seattle. I think that there's a reasonable chance that she sidesteps and be like, you know what? I'm going to take the men's team in Vegas now.
What would you call the men's team?
I think they're going to be the Aces as well.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't quote me on that, but I was just reading some stuff and it seemed like that was the most likely destination, and Seattle's really high on the list too.
Seattle should definitely get a team back.
Yeah.
I mean, I would call it like the Las Vegas free buffets.
Right. The Las Vegas Luxors.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Las Vegas MGM Grand Lions.
Yeah. The Las Vegas bet it all on blacks. Dude, I honestly I feel like that is such a market. Like there's so much betting, there's so many large sports that happen there.
Yeah, and you look at their track record. They just won the WNBA championship back to back. They just won the Stanley Cup. The Raiders suck, but that's okay. Their stadium's still badass because they have a club in the stadium. And they're gonna get a baseball team. They're gonna put the baseball stadium, I think, on the Strip. I mean, yeah. I love Vegas. Vegas is a kryptonite of mine.
Yeah.
But I think Vegas is a great spot because then, whenever we have tourists come in, they're like, oh, there's a basketball game on tonight. Oh, they're playing. The Miami Heat or whatever. Let's go watch it.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff. So
yeah, you can just like chill at the casino. But I think the problem is like where like I think that it would really change the infrastructure because as soon as you introduce a new sports team, like that immediate area just blows up. So it's like you would need to sort of accommodate all those people that are going to enter there. So like, I mean, they need to figure that out, but it's Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, they can play at the T-Mobile Arena.
Vegas, baby.
They can play at the T-Mobile Arena and call it a day. Like you just got to make sure the schedules work out and whatnot. But but it would be great to have two more teams in the NBA because then that will mean a whole restructure of conferences and divisions.
Yeah.
I think you move Memphis and Minnesota to the East and then just have these two teams in the West and then, kind of move your divisions as you see it. and go from there. I think that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, I don't hate that one bit.
Yep. Also, this year, keep in mind, it's the was the Commissioner's Cup. Is that what it's called?
No, the NBA Cup.
NBA Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excited about that too. If we win it, that'd be dope.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it is some additional hardware, but like it's like the EPL version of like the Community Shield. It's like you know, it's something cool to win. You can hoist it up in the air, like woohoo, we won. But like, I mean, dude, like there's gonna need to be something more at stake for the NBA Cup to like mean something, for the like the mid season tournament to like truly mean something.
I'm sure. They can make it worth it, especially with the new NBA TV deals and stuff like that, where like they get a significant bonus or whatever the case may be. So I'm excited to watch it because I'm curious to see how teams approach it.
Right.
Because I would love to see like more two-way guys get more PT on in those games.
Right. Or is like somebody going to sit the night before if it's like a back-to-back game?
Yeah.
It's like, are you going to sit the non-mid-season tournament game and then play in the mid-season tournament / regular season game? It's like those games will have slightly more weight to them. So it's like, yeah, you're right. From a coaching personnel standpoint, it will be altered a little bit.
Yeah, and teams like us, like the Spurs, the Rockets, who else is in that? The Hornets, the bottom. I'm gonna say bottom feeders, but people that like have nothing to really play for, and you end up winning something like that. You know, that is a good little confidence boost. Like, hey, you know, it was a rough season, but you know, look at what we got.
We did something.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. I think you know, it'd be cool if we were able to use kind of like a EuroLeague type thing where we were able to play like other countries and stuff. But the problem is the NBA is the NBA. So
right, and just traveling is tough. Like you get jet lag and you almost can't even play basketball for like 2 days after that. It's like. Yeah, the logistics are pretty rough. So I think it makes sense for something like the NFL where you can travel, spend some time there, and then your game is 3 days away, 4 days away. But with basketball, it's just like you'd have a game, and then 2 days after that you'd have another game. Right. It's like the logistics are pretty tough with that. But at the end of the day, I think that would be sick.
I got a question for you. Do you think the Spurs should continue doing the rodeo road trip?
Yes, because I think that it's just cool at this point. I almost view it as like a gauntlet.
That's fair.
Like I view it as like just like a tough little section within our schedule where it's like, all right, this is going to be a good benchmark of where we are as a team.
Sure.
Can we handle this series of games on the road where we're just, I mean, it's going to be almost a damn near a month or, I mean.
It is a month.
Yeah, is where it's like we're not really going to be in San Antonio very much. And it's like, so I think it's usually a good benchmark.
Just for me, it's like if we're playing games in Austin and we're playing games in the Alamo Dome, like I don't know if we really need to go on that road trip anymore. If we're doing that,
right?
The problem is with the Moody UTs. Kind of at the end of their season stuff during that time. So, I think they can do it. It's just seems silly at this point, I guess. But I get what you mean. It's a time for the team to gel, and typically if they come out of that, you know what you're going to expect in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's usually a good Harden test. I feel like you can sometimes get pretty comfortable at home. Yeah. So like whenever you have just a long stretch of games when you're on the road and playing against other teams, playing in the arena with other teams' fans, I think that's just a good toughening up moment. But
There's going to be a lot more Spurs fans in those games, though.
Yeah, there will be a lot of loud Spurs fans. Hopefully. Damn, dude, that feels good.
Yeah, that was solid.
That feels good. Yeah, dude, we're 50 minutes.
Nailed it.
Almost 50 minutes, dude. That's a solid episode.
Nailed it.
Good job, brother. Yeah, I'm excited for Wemby's debut tonight. NBA is back, brother. Whew. NBA is back. Yeah, well, thank you guys for checking in to another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. Once again, it is your host, Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives, and I have been joined by my homie, AJ.
Let's go. Christmas Day.
Yes, Christmas Day. Hoops is back. Let's go. But thank y'all for hanging out. We're going to be giving away stuff like this, mega boxes of Mosaic. So if you want to comment on this video, big fundamental, comment on this video, Big Fundamental, for your chance to win a mega box of Mosaic. And yeah, we're just giving them away. So yeah, that being said, that's a good episode.
Yeah, what do we say?
Go Spurs, go!